Greetings and hello, it's Kaiser Louisville V coming to you today with another vlog, and I didn't want to be here again. I didn't. I wanted to go back to managing my page and let everything be normal. Now, I apologize if I'm sniffling or if I sneeze. I'm a bit sick. We've had a lot of changes in weather around here over the last 2 days. It's been hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold, and it's been a bit too much on my immune system, quite frankly. And I also haven't been getting enough sleep, which, of course, is wonderful if you're someone like me in college and trying to make good grades. So I apologize if I'm if I start sneezing or whatever. Now that that's out of the way, again, I didn't want to be here today. Let me just kind of back up a bit and talk a bit about what exactly I am even talking about right now. Okay? I don't know how or why. I think someone said something. Yeah, somebody said something on a comment thread and it set me off. And they were talking about, Freemasonry. The whole conspiracy, Freemasons in the church, this, that, and the other, yada, yada. Now, the principal reason I discounted these conspiracy theories, I'll get into later. But basically, now that I'm a state of a contest, these things suddenly seem much more plausible. So, they seem much more plausible now. And I guess 2 points. I guess you could say that I gotta talk about this because this shit sucks. I don't even know how to begin to address it, to be quite frank with you. The whole thing basically boils down to, or at least it initially did for me, that, the church can't be infiltrated and dominated and controlled completely and utterly, because then that would be denial of Christ's promise, at least not the papacy. That would be a complete manifest denial of Christ's promise that the gates of hell would not prevail against the church. Now, anti-popes are one thing. The Arian heresy and the Monophysite heresies are another matter altogether. They don't compare to what we're seeing right now. There's no comparison at all. But so there's no previous examples to draw on here in terms of, what's happening, what can we do, how do we go through this? We have canon law which says that, if a cardinal who is pronounced a heretic he can't be elected pope. So things like, if a clergyman, latius scienta, excommunications and all that stuff, and just, so that complicates things enough as it is in terms of the state of a contest position. But the frustrating thing here about this whole situation has been that answers have proven more, intellectually destructive than actual, just no answers at all. It doesn't enlighten anything in this case. The answers just make things harder. They don't make things easier to understand. They don't make things make sense. And I suppose that, really, look, I'll try to start at the beginning instead of just not being speechless, not knowing what to say. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to just manage my page, continue with, what we're doing, the good work we're trying to do with, getting more people interested and involved, and I wanted to continue with that. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to continue doing that and, just keep on towards our goals. I didn't want to be here trying to get my fellow imperialists to help me out with this stuff and to provide straight answers. And that's another thing. For a group of people who claim to believe in the Catholic religion more than anybody, and by that I mean you believe that Catholicism and its doctrines and dogmas contain salvation, you're all a bunch of assholes when it comes to actually helping these people understand this stuff. And it's inexcusable in my mind. Okay? It's inexcusable for you to be an absolute, total, complete asshole. Like resorting to hyperbole, ad hominem, not actually addressing the facts, telling people, oh, go look it up yourself, I can't be bothered to prove my own argument. It's like, that's bullshit. Prove your own argument. Don't just come in here, don't just walk in somewhere, start saying stuff, and then expect the whole world to bow down and bless your rank arrogance, just because, you're a traditional Catholic. Oh, I'm sorry, you must be completely, totally, absolutely right about everything you ever say. Although, as I've proven in the past, even though I agree with the Remnant and other places like that now, on their commentary on the church, you people make constant historical errors and distortions. Complete. At best, you're just misled. At worst, you purposefully quote sources that have been proven to be invalid, incorrect, or forgeries. You do this all the time, and then you expect people to take you seriously. That's not how this works. Okay, that's not how scholarship or debate works. You can't just, use a source and be like, oh, well, it was correct then. What? No, if the historical source has been proven invalid by another more reliable source, well, then it's not a correct source anymore. It's interesting as a piece of understanding how history was once viewed, but it's not interesting to us in trying to determine what the facts actually are. So, it's just... And yet, all you people do, in spite of the fact that you believe, according to your faith, you should believe at least, that if I stopped being Catholic tomorrow, and I died, I would go to hell. That is what your religion teaches. That is what you believe. The wages of sin is death. That is what you believe. But what is your response to this? Callousness. Indifference. Indifference that is, in my mind, just as damning as the religious indifference we're seeing coming out of Rome these days. Because what is your response to the idea that, if someone stops being a Catholic because they struggle with doctrine or dogma, that they will die and then endure eternal fiery torment, the likes of which no human being can inflict or imagine? Get out of here. Go. Get. Shoo. Bye. You're an asshole. Bye. That's your response. Your response is to just usher that person out the door as fast as you can. If not by your error, then by your callousness. That is a bullshit approach, and that is a shitty way to handle somebody when it comes to a religious question. St. Benedict of Nursia says that, trying to make people good Catholics is like trying to take the rust off of a vase. If you rub too hard, you'll break the vase. If you rub too softly, the rust won't come off. You got to find a middle way. And St. Francis de Sales, we have to, bring the word of God to people with honey. We have to be polite. We have to be kind. You can't just... Look, even if I agree with some of you people sometimes, like, the way you write makes me want to put my fist down your throat because you're just so arrogant. You don't stop for a second to talk to people. You just pontificate and polemicize until you're blue in the face, and it makes me want to strangle you because you're just so obnoxious. And you need to stop it because you're better than this. I guess I should get to the point, shouldn't I? It's been about 10 minutes. Basically, I started looking into Freemasonry, this whole Judeo-Masonic conspiracy theory, everything's the Jews and the Masons, I don't deny that there have been subversive groups who have tried to subvert Catholic teaching in the past. I don't deny that. But I do deny that every single problem in the church's history, and in the modern era in particular, is because of Jews and Freemasons. Okay? I understand that Freemasons played a big part in, in the French Revolution and all that stuff. But hey, Freemasons also made up substantial portions of the opposition in these countries too. For example, the Grand Orient of France was divided on the subject of the French Revolution. There were Vendeans who were Freemasons, just like there have been Freemasons who were Confederates and Unionists. There have been Freemasons on both sides of every single political conflict since its inception as a modern international fraternal organization. It's always been this way. It's always happened. There were Freemasons on General Santa Anna, and Sam Houston were Freemasons. Did they look at all like they were in any kind of political agreement on a grand overarching scheme for world domination? No. Even then, I would proposit that Freemasonry didn't bring up anything new to the table. Freemasonry just rode on the coattails of already existing and already popular philosophies because it meshed with their own dogmas and morals. They didn't invent Enlightenment liberalism. Humanity invented enlightened liberalism. And even in this documentary I'm watching, this 2-hour-long thing, by churchmilitant.tv, yeah, incredible source, I know, but so far, some of the stuff at least they're talking about is checked out, but some of it has not, some of the stuff that the connections they've drawn just aren't there, because, surprise, hey, you see this? Hey, you see this? See this? It's a smartphone. Okay? Smartphone. If I press some buttons, or if I say some words into this little speaker down here, I can look up anything I want on the internet. I can find anything, almost in the world. If it exists, it's probably on the internet for me to find, whether it's bullshit or earth-shattering revelatory facts. So if you think you can honestly lie in the information age about anything on the internet, fuck you, because you're just an idiot. But, there are some credible, now that I'm a state of a contest, I'm re-examining some of these ideas and theories, and the Alta Vitae, or whatever the fuck it was called, all these other things, talking about, Freemasonry this, Freemasonry that. There is some credence to these theories and these ideas, and there are some undoubted parallels between Enlightenment liberalism, as exposited by Freemasonry, and the ideas purported by the Second Vatican Council and the Vatican II popes. They're all there. There are some very clear, connections that, while unproven, make sense. But, and I actually took some interesting quotes. Oh wait, no, the battery's dead. I'm too lazy to charge it. Oh well. There are some you can look it up. FBI Freemasonry by churchmilitant.tv. It was uploaded about a year ago. You can go look for yourself, and you can see it, and you can understand what I'm talking about. You can critique it for yourself. But I guess what I'm talking about is that look, the whole Freemason, thing with the Alta Vitae and all this stuff, it puts a horrifying new dimension and spin on what we're seeing with the great apostasy, or whatever you want to call it. I hate using that term, though, that a lot of recognized resist trads do, because, I remember hearing about that all the time as a Protestant, about Catholicism. Oh, the great apostasy. Oh, the apostatized Catholic Church. Oh, all the terrible medieval period. All this, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. And I remember hearing about it all the time. And I remember just, I hate the phrase itself, because it's supposed to be a canard. It's not supposed to be something I read about every time I pick up a newspaper talking about the little man in Argentina who's pretending to be Pope. Well, no, he's not even pretending to be Pope. He's not even taking his time to enjoy the things the office entails. He's not even, enjoying the regalia, living in the nice fancy apartments. He's not even acting with the authority of a Pope. He's just I don't know what to call him at this point. I don't know what to call the guy at this point. I really don't care. What's he got to do? March his little self down here and wag his finger in my face? I care. Okay? I mean, because at this point, that man is the destruction of more people's Catholic religions than any one person I've actually known since I've been alive and been Catholic. I've seen him throw more people's faiths into doubt and disarray than anyone else because of the stupid, heretical bullshit that comes out of his mouth. In fact, it's almost miraculous. It's like, wow, I didn't know that much shit could come out of someone's mouth without them choking on it. Like, it's just, I can't believe somebody who was a prelate, of all things, would just get it this wrong, much less one that would become pope. Much less the idea that the people who elected these men popes knew they were heretics and didn't care. They wanted it that way. They wanted the church to go this way. Because if only a pope can judge a cardinal to be heretical, and the popes did not judge these cardinals to be heretical, even if they were before they were given the office of papacy, if the popes didn't recognize it, then they can be elected to the papacy and they can spread their heresy there. It's just, whatever, you know. Then, of course, there is, you know, just dealing with all this stuff. Just look. Here's the bottom line, folks. Let me bottom line it for you. Recognize and resist trends. Let me bottom line it for you. Radical state of ecology. Let me just bottom line it for you. Okay. On this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. These are the words of Christ to the first pope. What do you call it if the Catholic Church is subverted, if its lay people who agree with Catholicism are suppressed by the institutional church, and those who remain converted to the new conciliar religion, when the office of papacy is taken over by these same heretics, when the majority of the bishops and the clergy are involved in these same heresies, when they teach these same heresies with all the facets of their authorities, when they slap nihil obstat imprimatur on garbage that is blatantly heretical, when, you know, the only religious orders in the world that are growing, the traditional ones, are slammed and oppressed, and then it comes out that the commissioner lied about, on the committee, lied about some of the accusations that were leveled at the FFI and other groups, and then there is no word at all from Rome about what to do about this subject. You know, what do you do when, okay, let me make it simple terms, okay? The general populace is either converted to the new regime or suppressed, okay? And the remainder of the population that agrees with the new regime is applauding as you suppress the dissidents. Okay, the leadership of the country has been deposed and replaced with someone new. The officers and the entire government body has been replaced with people who agree with the new despot. That, my friends, is a textbook perfect conquest. Good job. You just took over a country. Sun Tzu is taking his hat off to you because you did it all without firing a single shot. You infiltrated the world's oldest religious body and you shat all down its throat. Good job. I hope you're fucking proud of yourselves. And you are probably proud of yourselves. Good for you. I, on the other hand, am at the lowest point I've been since high school, you know, because, God, that sucks. Just, my life, family members were, you know, taking dirt naps left and right. I mean, I was, you know, bad stuff happened to some friends of mine. You know, high school was a bad 4 years for me. I lost a lot of dear people to me, and I went through a lot of stuff, but whatever. I mean, you realize, I mean, what this means. If the Catholic Church has been taken over by Freemasonry, by anybody that is not, you know, and that whoever it is, and those people have subverted Catholicism, if they're heretical, the gates of hell have prevailed. The church has been taken over. Okay? It's happened. It just happened. It's done. It's been done for 60 years. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's done. Go home. We're through here now. Do something else with your life. So what? I mean, are we supposed to resort to some Protestant ecclesiology on the subject of the church? It's an invisible church. It's the church of the believers. Is that what we're supposed to resort to now? Is that what we're supposed to start believing? Are we supposed to pretend like this was all somehow foreordained? Are we supposed to rewrite history to make ourselves feel better about this situation? Lie to ourselves? Say we've been here before when we really haven't? What exactly are we supposed to do? Because there is no solution. Because the fact of the matter is, if Christ is a liar and the church could not defeat the gates of hell, then it is over. The church has lost. It is over. Game over. I'm much less angry about this than I thought I would be. But I guess I'm just so drained by the prospect of all this that I just don't have any more fervor to give anymore. I don't have a single fuck to give. Because, really, if I stop to think about how many fucks I should give, I'm going to end up getting really furious. Because over the last 5 to 6 years, I've given up a lot to follow this religion and to protect it. And I don't need to rehash it all here for you people to hear. Because I've talked about it before. So how am I mean, you see this flag? This is just one of many things, that very expensive things that I've wasted my money on if all this turns out to be bullshit. You know, trying to pursue and surround myself with things I enjoy. You know, you can't see, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and that's not including what's in the other room, in my bedroom, 12 pieces of Catholicism in art and other things that were ludicrous, that were very expensive, you know, for somebody who has no job and, you know, has had jobs, but, you know, minimum wage paying jobs, and who, you know, self-entrepreneurs in various ways. It's rather expensive. And especially now that I'm in college and living on my own, and I spent money on them. Hell, some of these were just posters, prints that were on my wall before when I was in high school, and now they have nice frames. They were very expensive frames. For somebody on a fixed income in college, providing for all their own gas, food, clothing, laundry bills, all this other stuff. Very expensive. And I've spent money on them. Only for this shit to turn out to be one massive joke. How do you think that makes me feel, huh? How do you think that makes me feel? Terrible. Absolutely terrible. What? Am I supposed to just go to these recognize and resist groups? Am I supposed to just go to these sedevacantists? On one hand, I have people who, while well-intentioned, sometimes outright lie or refuse to be educated, where they are misled on historical subjects related to the church. Who just have to have apparently this historical nest egg to go back to that, makes them feel like, oh, this isn't all that bad. Well, no, it is bad. It's very bad. It's disastrous. And it's nothing like anything we've ever seen before. Suck it up and accept it. Okay? If you're going to try to keep being Catholic, suck it up and accept it and say this is nothing like anything we've had. We've had similar situations, but we never had this. We've never had everything from the top down turned to shit. Never. And should I go to the sedevacantists, some of whom are absolutely nutty? They're absolutely insane? Like, that doesn't even answer the question of where I go for, Mass and for church and for, my other religious needs. That doesn't answer that question, does it? Sacraments, marriage, community, spiritual assistance. That doesn't answer any of my questions because I have nowhere sure that I can go as a sedevacantist or as a recognize and resist trad. The SSPX chapel, the nearest one to me, is in Baton Rouge. That's a 4-hour drive. 4 hours. That is there and back. That is a whole tank of gas. Driving on the highway. There and back, I'm willing to bet that 8 hours is a full tank of gas. To fill up my car is $40. I have around $200 to $250 a month to live on. Okay? So if I go to Mass every week, that's not including holy days. That's assuming they even offer that. I'm going to spend my entire money on gas. I better learn to start eating, leather pillows, because I'm not going to eat otherwise. I ain't got shit. I better make what food I have left in the fridge, last a while. I better learn to eat mayonnaise. I mean, hey, Lent's coming up. I'm still holding out with faith that there's something I've missed, there's something I don't know, there's something I don't realize. But every person who I thought could actually help me with this has done nothing but be an asshole to me about it. Because I apparently aggravate their own insecurities or some shit. I can't fathom why else they would be this rude. There is no just quitting for me, okay? Because this was the stuff that gave me meaning. This was the stuff that gave me... I don't think you people understand. I don't think any of my friends actually understand. Because they don't know this feeling of literally having nothing to live for, but wanting something to live for. I can't live in a state of just unmatched, free, debauched hedonism. I can't. Even just normal, everyday Joe, Joe Six-Pack, I can't live that life. That's not me. I can't just be this boring, normal person with no grand plan. I can't. That's not me. It's not who I am. And before all this, I literally hid in a fantasy world. World of Warcraft, RuneScape, tabletop RPGs, books, whatever. I didn't live in reality. The reality for me was a big, giant inconvenience keeping me from the things I actually liked. It was a big, giant inconvenience. My only life goal was to find some job that I could find myself doing, have a family, have some, maybe have a family, maybe have some kids, but do everything in such a way that it would not inhibit my gaming hobbies or my RPG interests or anything like that. As I get older, find new ways to supplement that and enjoy that. That was part of my goal, But when I found all this, like even before I became Catholic, I was fascinated with the idea of knights and chivalry. But as I was taught growing up, for American history, that was all bupkis. It was all a bunch of bullshit. It was a bunch of thugs trying to maintain their power. They were just looking flashy while they did it. For me, that idea only existed in books and in fiction, and I didn't even know the Holy Roman Empire existed until remarkably very recent in my life. And so quickly, its political philosophy and everything became the whole center of my being, because it just spoke to me. And I can't just like this stuff without the religious aspect, because without that absolute truth, without that absolute assurance, without the divine mandate, it's all just as meaningless as the next thing. What is morality? What is anything without this divine? Every culture in the world has had some kind of divine supernatural guiding, dowsing rod. It's had some kind of compass, but If I can't find an answer to this, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know what my next course of action will be. Because I wouldn't know where to go. I mean, you can't trust any of these, trad groups. I mean, I've watched traditional conservative groups that I've been part of forever just slowly sell themselves to fascism and to race theory and all this other bullshit. I've watched them do it, and it's just been heartbreaking because just why, I don't know what to do anymore, and I kind of wish I did. Maybe someone knows something I don't. Maybe someone actually gives a shit, and can help me out, where everyone else has failed me in trying to help me and guide me, either, just because they don't know how to address the problem, or they're conflicted themselves, or they just, I need help. If not in a direction towards, giving me a concrete answer in terms of what's going on, what I should do next, then just some guidance as to where I should go. Because with me being so intertwined with Catholicism personally, and the love I had for it, if it all turns out to be over, then so's my life. Just going back to where I was before, when I didn't see anything worth value in the world. I've got nothing.